This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
You all ready for this?
This is a sham.
No. Y'all, just stop.
Get real.
Welcome to DBL. I'm Sam in for Tori. Today, we are starting with this question. Is the internet ruining our lives? So that's the question a lot of people have been asking themselves, their family members. And in this specific study, after people from this very remote tribe in the Amazon were given access to the internet thanks to Elon Musk's Starlink satellites. So the Marubo tribe connected last fall, and after only 9 months, it's left the tribe divided, with some members quickly becoming addicted to social media and pornography. It changed the habits there completely and the behaviors. And now the tribe has decided to limit access. Even Twitter founder Jack Dorsey is concerned about what the internet and social media is doing to us collectively. Here's what he said yesterday.
This is going to sound a little bit crazy, but I think the free speech debate is a complete distraction right now. I think the real debate should be about free will. And we feel it right now because we are being programmed. We're being programmed based on what we say we're interested in. And we are told through these discovery mechanisms what is interesting. And as we engage and interact with this content, the algorithm continues to build more and more of this bias.
Now, on the other hand, the internet created a lot of positives for this specific society and society, of course, in general. It makes communication super easy. People can connect over vast distances. It's also created new careers and industries and made work and life a lot easier for many of us, not to mention the huge range of entertainment it has provided. But DBL Nation panel always want to discuss this. Is the internet ruining our lives? Yes or no? Please vote. Go to dblvote.com to weigh in. Let me go back to this almost like real-time case study, Jeff, with the Marubo tribe. This is what one of the leaders said. When it arrived, everyone was happy. But now things have gotten worse. But please don't take our internet away.
Right. It's a balance, right? There are positives and there definitely are negatives. And as a parent, you have to control your kid's internet use, right? As I sit here and my kid's on my phone, so he's keeping quiet over there. So there are positives to this whole thing. But you got to balance it, right? You could have a couple drinks. If you drink all the time, that's not good for you. Anything else in excess, you can't do it all the time. The problem is moderation, limiting it to a certain, hours of a day.
Yeah, I think that this is also such an anomaly, obviously, but it's not like the parents can necessarily parent in that way because this is opening up a whole new world to them as well. Like, how are they going to model something that they've never experienced before?
So interesting.
Like, I think about this in more of a microcosm way. Growing up, I lived in one of the poorest neighborhoods in Illinois, in Chicago. And then my family moved to one of the richest counties. And I never had any comparison, and I never thought about things outside of what was going on directly around me. And then when I moved and at 9, 10 years old, it opened up my eyes to there's so many other different ways that people live, and comparison really becomes the thief of joy. So to have the entire world brought to you into your tribe and into a remote area has to be completely overwhelming psychologically.
Just quickly to that point, I was in Africa doing this thing, filming something, and we went to this remote tribe in the middle of the jungle or wherever we were, and we had iPads, right? So we filmed these kids and showed them, and they never saw an iPad before. And their faces, they were white devil.
Yeah.
I mean,
they were freaked out. It was crazy.
Right. I can't even imagine what they must have thought that was with no exposure to it. My concern is, Jeff, hi, Jeff.
Hey, that's my brother.
Al, is that we have proof how addictive it is, right? Our executive producer, Chris Clark, was telling us earlier the studies out there that show that very first generation that became digital with very little oversight, they have the worst depression. They're almost like this study out there that nobody really voluntarily enlisted in. I mean, they did, but it's you can say, I'm going to cut your internet down, but especially with adults, if it's addictive, it's really hard to do that. So how do we balance that? Because I can say if I'm addicted to social media, I'm not going to be on my phone. But then if the addiction takes over, what do you do?
Well, Sam, also you got to remember, because of the age we are up here, we all have some default mechanism. If, God forbid, you lost your phone for a week, you could figure out, you go back to 1996 and live like that. But these kids have no default. They don't know a world without that. And I think, Jeff, you made the example of, well, you don't have too many drinks. When you sit down at the bar, you know that really the only thing that can go wrong is you do have too many drinks. You know that drinking will ultimately be a negative. But people that are on the internet, a lot of times, they think that they're getting correct, positive, life-affirming information. And that's why it's so addictive, because no one likes to hear, Erica, you're wrong. What they want to hear is, Erica, you were right. Now click on this website to see why you were right. And then you click on that. It's like, you're here because you're smart. Now here are 5 reasons you need to do this. So you're going down these rabbit holes and you're taking in information that is not vetted. And the person that's saying it is under no, constrictions for it to be correct. So now you have a computer that is telling you what you want to click on next. And if you want to upload your information to that, you're ultimately trying to make sure that you are thinking like this computer. And that is super weird.
Just like the clip said, we're being programmed. Most definitely.
Yeah, and let's not forget how much time is it taking it away from our daily lives. We're going to talk more about that later. And let's see what our viewers say. Is the internet ruining our lives? 73% of you,
Thanks
say
for being
yes.
on the internet involved.
I was about to say.
27% of you say no. Coming up on DBL, a woman who survived a horrific motorcycle crash that changed her life forever is sharing her recovery from an internal decapitation, how she found the strength to keep fighting, and Celine Dion is revealing how stiff person syndrome has impacted her iconic voice. Next. Cool shot, Rob. I like it. Welcome back. So Celine Dion is sharing more details about living with stiff person syndrome since she revealed her diagnosis in December of 2022. In a preview from an upcoming interview with Hoda Kotb, she talked about how it's affecting her voice. Watch.
It's like somebody's strangling you. It's like somebody's pushing your larynx, pharynx this way.
Oh.
So it's like you're talking like that. and you cannot go high or lower. It gets into a spasm.
Wow. Celine then talked about how the disorder affects the rest of her body. Listen.
My hands will get in a position.
Like they're
my
cramping,
feet, it's cramping, but it's like in a position of like you cannot unlock them. I had broken ribs at one point because sometimes when it's very severe, it can break
a
some
spasm
ribs as
so
well.
hard that it can break a rib?
The full conversation will air next Tuesday on NBC. Now, we've also seen teaser trailers, Jeff, of her working really hard physically.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't realize that the vocal box is a muscle. And if everything else is affected by stiff person syndrome, the spasms, the atrophy, I'm curious how she's trying to train her voice to perform again.
Yeah, and for people that don't know, I don't know what stiff person syndrome feels like, but I don't know if you've ever had a cracked rib. I think it's the most painful thing I've ever had in my life. You can't even breathe. You can't bend over. God forbid you sneeze. It's like the worst pain you've ever had. So that's what she's dealing with on top of all that. So I can't, that puts a lot of things in perspective for me. So to her, to continue to push to get that concert out is amazing.
Eric,
Amazing.
I don't know how you feel about this, but it's so interesting we're doing this story. Maybe interesting is the wrong word to use, but it's such a rare disease that I think even as fans of hers up here, of her as a human being and obviously an artist, it's hard to relate. Even if it was, God forbid, cancer or something,
Right.
like my grandmother had that or I had that, but this is such a crazy thing to be diagnosed with. And also to her, of all people, it just seems cruel.
I think, because I talk about testimony teaching a lot, and most of the time you have the, quote, privilege of being able to talk about it from the perspective of you've gotten through it. When people are able to be transparent with their testimony in real time, especially for something that no one really understands, and she's teaching while going through this and probably understanding in real time herself. And you look at her, and I'm just reminded of how demonstrative of a person she is, even when she's speaking, not even when she's performing. So to be shut down at moments in time or however long this is happening, but still having the will to share with other people because it does affect other people, I mean, it just speaks to her character and who she is as a person.
I'm so glad you brought that up because no shade to Jennifer Lopez, but it made me see this comparison and juxtaposition because you see a lot of the footage from the documentary, no makeup, in her most vulnerable state. And most superstars like to present that they aren't affected by anything. And to really see that curtain pulled back to the most extreme degree with Celine Dion, I mean, it makes you love her even more.
I did think of one silver lining to this. From now on, anybody that has this will be able to say this is what Celine Dion had. And just being able to say that, I don't know why psychologically will help future.
Yep. I mean, 1 or 2 out of 1 million have this disorder. Coming up on DBL. The inspirational story of a woman's life-altering accident, how she managed to keep fighting after an internal decapitation. Welcome back. So it was a normal day in 2021 when Christy Bullock decided to take her brand new motorcycle out for a ride. What happened next changed her life forever. Take a look.
We had just bought the new bike, but I had not got to drive it yet.
After grabbing lunch with her dad, Christy hopped on her bike and leaned into a turn.
I don't know what happened, but I ended up hitting the guardrail, and I had time before the impact to know that I was gonna hit it. I remember thinking to myself, this is gonna hurt.
Upon impact, she suffered an atlanto-occipital dislocation, an internal decapitation.
The guardrail stopped me here, but my head with that helmet kept going. And so it was just that velocity that just pulled my head off my spine.
Christy began to question if she had the strength to keep fighting.
I needed a reason to want to live again, because at that point, I did not.
Now, the chance of surviving an internal decapitation is slim to none, but Christy did just that. Earlier, we spoke with her about her remarkable recovery. Take a look. Please welcome Christy to DBL. Christy, thank you.
Hey, thanks for having me.
We are so glad to see you. I'm so glad you're here. Christy, your major neck injury was just the start of an incredibly tough recovery. Can you, I know it's hard, but just tell us, what other injuries did you have from the accident?
I had tears in both carotid and vertebral arteries. I broke my back in 3 places. I had liver complication. All of my internal organs were pretty much bruised or bleeding. I had a really bad tibial plateau fracture. Ooh. My left arm almost got cut off and was paralyzed for several weeks. So wow. It was significant multi-system trauma. And then 2 weeks after that, my brain herniated and I was in a coma for a short time, and then came out of that, and then that's when things really got hard.
Wow, of course.
So you talk a lot about your time in the ICU and losing hope is kind of what I want to focus on. What do you remember from that time? And kind of from my, just for me, I want to know what brought you through that? Was it faith? Was it something else? What was going through your mind at that time?
Good question.
As far as, what it felt like to be in that position, for me at that point, it had just all become too much. And to be honest, it just felt like complete torture. Mm-hmm. And I was just, by that point, I had been in there for weeks and I was just done. I just didn't have any more fight left. I was just tired and in pain and felt like I was being tortured. And to answer your question, as far as like what got me through that, is definitely the amazing support from my husband and all of my family and, just coworkers, friends, everybody and of course, my nurses and RTs and all the people that were taking care of me they were what got me through.
Oh my gosh, that is unbelievable and beautiful. Speaking of your nurses, they did something really special to help you start recovering mentally. What was it and how did it impact you?
There was a point, after I'd been in there for 6 or 7 weeks and they could just tell that I was tired and that I was losing my fight. And Stacy told me one day, she said, I tell you what, if you get off this ventilator, we're going to take you up to the helipad and we're going to watch the sunset over Children's Hospital. And I don't know how much longer it was after that, but when I did finally get off the ventilator, they took me up to the helipad and we watched the sunset over Children's Hospital, and I cried the whole time, as you can tell in the pictures, but this picture right here, Stacy's face
Oh my
when
gosh.
the way that she's looking at me and the way that I'm holding her hand, it's very emotional, and that gesture is kind of what was a gift that they gave me to make me want to live and to keep pushing through all of that.
We love our nurses, man.
We love our nurses, and it's such a stark reminder of what we take for granted on a daily basis. Christy, thank you for being here, for being alive and sharing your incredible story of survival. DBL Nation, to hear more from Christy, including conversations with her neurosurgeon, you can subscribe to her YouTube channel at Little Trauma Mama. I love that name.
It's a great name.
Yep, thank you again. Thank you. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Wow.
The Caribbean is calling you. This June, we're celebrating Caribbean Heritage Month with Sandals by giving away 2 all-inclusive vacations to any Sandals resort of your choice. Watch DBL every day for a word of the day. Then enter at dailyglasslive.com/sandals for your chance to win a 4-day, 3-night escape for 2. The winner will be announced on DBL June 26. Make memories for a lifetime and start entering for your chance to win a trip to any Sandals resort. Today's word of the day is paradise.
Don't forget to enter. Welcome back. So have you ever tried Eastern medicine to help you with your overall health? According to experts, acupuncture is so helpful for lower back pain and other joint-related issues that it is now actually covered by Medicaid.
Ooh.
Oh, Erica, so you're a big fan of acupuncture.
Yes,
I
she
am
is.
a huge fan, yes.
Yes.
I've been going to my acupuncturist for 4 years. Not only has she helped with like my IVF journey, but honestly, it has changed my life. Like, I am more mobile, the digestion, clarity. Both of my parents go now. I love acupuncture.
You got Roosevelt to go?
Yes.
Really?
Yes, my dad has gone, and every time he comes to Denver, he goes with me.
I love
Yeah,
You buried
I've
the
gotten
lead
him
in that story. I
addicted.
can't believe that.
Roosevelt.
Shout out.
Getting
Firmly believe in it.
acupuncture. Well done. Acupuncture isn't the only way to help your joints. Another thing that can help your joint pain is Omega XL. It is a powerful joint support that's helped millions of consumers and is backed by 30 years of clinical research. Omega XL's powerful and proven benefits have transformed the lives of athletes, celebrities, and dedicated daily users. Call 800-814-6985 or visit omegaxl.com for more information. And before we go, did you guys know it is National Donut Day?
Ooh, did we get some?
I hope we have some here. I doubt we do.
No.
It's a great chance to save some dough, ouch, on one of America's favorite pastries. Dunkin', Krispy Kreme, and many other retailers are all having special offers to help you celebrate. You can celebrate. Do you celebrate or donut you?
Do I
Or
celebrate?
donut you. You just walked on it. That's okay.
That was horrendous.
Yes. Yeah,
I'm
that was
trying to
worse than
fill
the
in for
first one.
Tori.
But yeah. Every time I go to like the bakery and I look at the donuts, I'm like, oh yes. But then I'm like, oh, eclairs. I feel like I go for the other pastries now. The
You're
bear
such an
claw.
old man. That's an old man treat.
You know,
Claire.
You know what I really
What
want
about
to
a
hear?
bear claw?
I want to hear Roosevelt getting acupuncture. Can you give us a little bit?
Yes, Erica.
It's silent.
What would it be like if he was vocal?
What about when he asks to go? What does he tell you?
You make me an appointment? You going? You ain't make me an appointment?
Bye, guys.
It's better than a donut.